when a team arrives, we sort of set up a little city. So we have a finance unit, which would be like your banking. We have a medical unit, which is like your hospital. We have to have some type of organization with security and management of where the people go, and that's something the logistics chief plans. Where is everyone going to park? So we'll find when we go for a tour that the camp is laid out. People know where to go. They're assigned to certain areas to keep us organized. So it's like a little city that just shows up, and we can arrive quickly and leave quickly.
Kind of a big heads up out there. But like I say, tomorrow does sound like to be a dry and windy day. But today you got to concentrate on what's happening today. So, think about this. It'd be nice to button things up real well, but we still got to be careful about what's actually happening with our fire behavior today.
So we've got computer models that'll kind of predict fire behavior, and we look at those, but they are computer models, and you got to put some reality into it. Right now, I'm kind of looking at what happened yesterday. To see, because what happened yesterday kind of applies to today. If it's a little bit warmer today, I expect it to be a little bit more than what happened today. Fire behavior would be more than what happened today. So I look at the models, see what they say, and then I kind of take them and put some adjustments onto them. So that's, like I say, at this point, that's what I'm looking at.
So we're doing a lot with like relative humidity and temperatures.
Yeah, a lot with relative humidity and temperatures. I think I've got some runs up. These are for looking at what's happening possibly tomorrow type of thing. But a few things I'm looking at. Crown rate of spreads at 81 change per hour. It's about 1 mile per hour. If things happen during the heat of the day tomorrow, and then if it happens tomorrow night, they're looking at about 3/4 of a mile per hour. That's what we're looking at. And but you do have to put some perspective on that. So like I say, doing this in my mind for two different reasons. One, so that we can develop our strategies where we actually have enough time to put in lines and everything else like that. And another one is for firefighter safety, so the firefighters know what they have to deal with so they can avoid those burnover type situations.
So, and then this information gets communicated via radio to the unit leaders? Or?
Generally we have meetings, and we got planning meetings where we talk about the strategies and what's going to work. And then we have briefings, which we usually we'll stand up on the stage and tell people what I believe is going to happen. And then, like I say, if there's people out in the field, we have to do it over the radio and get that information to them that way. So I think things are going to start picking up today. We'll see more torching, very small crown runs, but spotting is probably going to be our biggest problem, and I think that's going to be our biggest problem through this thing. We could possibly get spot fires from embers from trees that torch out, they throw the embers out in front of it, and we're expecting spotting distances to be about a half mile, and that's a good distance. That's farther, that's farther than a dozer line, so that makes it difficult to, keep up with things. So that's what we're looking at there.
Hi. Our job here on the incident is to provide weather support for both the firefighters and also the other agencies who are participating. We primarily provide a daily weather forecast or a day and night weather forecast so they can make plans for the next operational shift. We're also watching the weather continuously for any hazardous weather that may develop, whether a column develops over the fire or a thunderstorm moves in, or we might have a cold front moving in with the winds increasing. And so again, our primary mission is for the safety and protection of the firefighters as well as the residents and the property. Okay, this right here is a what do I call a model point sounding, and I've positioned points over the fire area, and you can kind of see up here it's kind of small scale, and I'm looking at both the valley and also the ridges here, and this gives me a vertical profile of what the winds are doing, as well as the temperature profile and the moisture profile, and then based on how much this line slopes one way or the other, I can determine the stability, and that tells me whether a column is likely to develop or not to develop. It also shows me an increase in winds, and so here we have, let me blow this up a little bit. This is for this morning, and this is height here, 10,000 feet. And I'm just going to go forward in time. And now we're getting into Saturday, and you can see the winds are starting to increase above here. And now we're into Saturday night, and this is Sunday, and here we have 15 miles an hour at Sunday afternoon. And so what we're looking at is the change in wind direction to the southwest and the increase in winds. And have to evaluate whether these winds are too strong or too light, if the timing's correct, and that's pretty much our job here. The data is coming from aircraft, from balloons that are released with radiosondes, from satellites that are doing profiling, all kinds of different weather observations, not only here in the United States, but throughout the world. We swap data back and forth. It all gets put into the computers that are back in Maryland, as well as the other meteorological centers around the world. We have computer models that are driven off the equations of motion that are for fluid in motion, I should say, and that comes up with a projection of what the weather or the atmosphere should look like in time. And then we fine-tune that to the local effects, the fact that the valley is oriented a certain way, and even though the winds from the model may say they come out of the, say, north, the valley is oriented east and west, and so it's going to influence the direction of the winds there. Also, if the sun's on the slope or not. So that's how we take this global model and scale it down and make it smaller and smaller, so we're microclimate forecasting.